So you can download this presentation at that link right there. It's like slideshare/target-humans. And we're going to talk about how a lot of people do organic search wrong. Because people think more about the search engine than the people that they're trying to get to do something. And now there's a web browser on my screen. That's not good. Okay. So right now, people look at search as though it orbits social media. Like there's this universe of Facebook and Twitter that we push content out to. That's not really how we should be looking at this. In fact, what we should be doing is looking at the intersection of search and social, and using social media to inform what we're doing in search. So we need to stop chasing the algorithm, stop thinking about the search engines as machines, and look to fulfill the needs of people. And in other words, we need to start focusing on the who and the why instead of just the what. Right now we're just like, oh, there's some keywords, let's rank highly for those keywords and then get people to come. But you have to think about your audience first. Who is it that you're talking to? So what you should be doing is using social media to your advantage. People are telling you their most mundane thoughts about everything in the world right now. There's millions of people right now posting about bananas. You know, if you're a banana salesman, then you should be using that information to inform the type of content that you're giving to these people. And you should invest in social listening. So there's tools like Scout Labs, Alterian SM2. Those are really extensive and expensive tools. But there's also Social Mention, which is free. And basically you put in a keyword and you can get a large part of the conversation throughout the internet for that keyword. You also should invest in quantitative analysis tools such as ComScore, QuantCast, or Compete, because they give you a real good idea of the demographics of the people that you're targeting. Uh-oh. I should really learn how to use PowerPoint, huh? At least it looks pretty. Kind of. All right, so once you have all this data, you want to develop personas and use that to inform both your search campaign and your UX. So you're going to want to separate that into like 4 different core groups for your audience. We're going to get to that in a minute, though. And what you need to do is build for people, not for search engines. Because for search engines to be relevant, they have to keep moving towards better search quality. So if you're going to keep chasing the algorithm instead of giving people what they want, you're going to fall out of the results really quickly with a new algorithm change. And a lot of people have seen that in the last, quarter or so with the Panda update. If you keep going after those little nuances that the algorithm is changing regularly, then you're not going to be able to maintain your spot. Instead, focus on making great content. And that's not to say that you can do this without doing great SEO. You have to focus on great SEO first. Like, that's the price of admission. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing much of anything. So the future of search is really about people. It's going to be about Google connecting authors to their content and then figuring out who's an authority. So if I'm known as somebody that talks about SEO all the time, and then Google figures out that this is my content, my links to other things about SEO are going to be more valuable to the search algorithm than someone who doesn't talk about SEO. And the way that they're doing this is with something called Rel Author. And that's how they're connecting the authors to their Google Plus profiles to the content that they create. So in the future, this is where we're heading. This is beyond links. This is beyond, social media as far as like how many people are sharing it. It's about the author. So you need to satisfy appetites, basically. You need to create content that people are looking for. So the first thing you need to do is identify your audience. Who are these people that you're talking to? Who are these people that you're trying to get to buy something or convert in whichever way you're trying to get them to do it? So you need to be using personas because your competition is using personas, and you can't just go straight to the keyword tool and just start writing content. That's not going to work. What you need to do is figure out who your 4 core audiences are. And in this case, we're talking about a guitar company, Ovation Guitars, and we've identified their 4 core groups. So we have your music moms. They're like the real cool hip mom that's like, yeah, I want to get my son a guitar, you know. Let's figure out what guitar is the best. And they go out into the social media, they ask people, they search all over, just checking out everything they can find out about guitars. So this is one of our core audiences because they actually buy things. And then there's the happy hobbyists. These are the kids that are like in guitar school, or they're taking classes and things of that nature and learning how to play the guitar. They're one of the biggest content creators for guitars because they sit on YouTube all day like, hey, check out this Coldplay song I learned, or something like that. And then there's raging rock stars. These aren't necessarily celebrities, they can be, but they're also like independent musicians and things of that nature who are out there as thought leaders about, hey, this is my new Ovation guitar, I love this, you know, things of that nature. And then you have your involved instructors. Those are the people teaching your happy hobbyists and also influencing the music moms by telling them which guitars they should buy. So what we do is we identify these people so we can figure out who our target is and who are our influences, so we know who to reach out to for link building and who we're talking to as far as how do we target the content at or to them. You can also find out exactly who these people are. There are ways to figure out who everyone is that comes to your site as they come to your site. And by the way, my name is Michael King. I'm an SEO manager at Publicis Modem in New York. I used to work at a company called Razorfish. I studied systems and computer science at Howard University. I live in Brooklyn. I'm from Philadelphia. I was born August 29th, 1981, same day as Michael Jackson. I know American English and Igpay Atenlay. And these are all things that you're going to be able to find out about your visitors whenever they come to your site. You're probably like, how? Well, it's a methodology I developed called keyword level demographics. Basically what you do is you put your site on the Facebook Open Graph as an object. So anytime somebody comes to your site while logged into Facebook, because you know a lot of you stay logged into Facebook all day. And so when they come to your site, you can get all of their Facebook data. That's everything from status updates to information about them, their name, everything. Everything that they give you if you get them to opt in by pressing like a like button or log in with Facebook or whatever it is. And then what you do is you match that up with search refers. Those are the keywords that you see in your analytics when somebody comes to your site from search. So when you match those things up together, you get keyword level demographics. And you can figure out, you know, which of my target audiences is actually coming to me on a given keyword. So there may be an issue with privacy, especially if you're working with a big brand or something like that. What you can do is you can store these user IDs and things of that nature as encrypted numbers. So I don't want to go too technical on you guys, but what we have is called an MD5 hash, and it basically encrypts the number that you give it, or whatever string you give it. So in this case, we give it the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's represented as that MD5 hash on the right side. So you can store that, and you're not storing any personal information, but you can also still compare against it so you can see, you know, is this the same person that came back before? There's also another way to get this, because sometimes getting people to opt in on Facebook is kind of hard unless you incentivize it. There's a thing called Psyche, and what it does, it gives you demographic data on anybody that comes to your site, without an opt-in. Just whoever it is, you can know who they are. I don't know how they do it. They wouldn't tell me where they get their data from. I was like, where's your data coming from? They're like proprietary sources. But whatever the case, it's a data set. You can also get this type of stuff from LinkedIn and Google+. But the thing with Google, they recently made it so if you come to a site from search while logged into Google, like let's say you're still in Gmail or Google+ or whatever it is, they don't pass that search refer. So you can't really get all of the data from Google+, but you can still get demographic data. So once you have that data, what you're going to be able to do is called dynamic targeting. And since you have all this data in real time, you can figure out, hey, is this the persona that came to the site? If so, you can show them a different user experience. So on the left, this is LG.com. This is what you would see as a normal user. But if I figured out that you're our Curious George persona, who's between 18 and 32, male, loves indie rock, and wishes he had a beard, we can have something that reflects that guy in the cartoon on the right side. That will cause him to convert more because he's seeing an image that's like him. And people respond a lot more to images that are like themselves. That's why in advertising, like for example, if you're looking at an ad for black hair products, you're not going to see, you know, Chinese people advertising the product. So it's like when you target your audience in your messaging and in your visuals, they tend to react better. So when you're creating content, a lot of people create content for search, and that tends to end up with, you know, a ton of words on the page and some stuff that no one will ever read. There's no reason to do that at all. In fact, when you're creating this content, the thing you have to think about is this content worthwhile? Is this what people are looking for? Are you fulfilling their needs? So, like I said, there's no reason your UX has to suck. On the left, this is what a typical SEO page looks like. A ton of text, some random pictures or whatever, and something that people will never read. On the right is a site that we worked on called Immunity for a large pharmaceutical brand that relies heavily on infographics and still has a lot of text content on it, but the way it's presented visually is much more engaging than what you see on the left. And we found a lot of, you know, conversions happen on this page because the high value task we were after was getting people to share these infographics in social media. And it's doing pretty well. So, a lot of people, when they do keyword research, they just jump to the Google AdWords tool, they put in a keyword, which gives you back 800 keywords extrapolated from your original keyword, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna pick these 10, let's go. No, that's not gonna work. What you need to do is, one, immerse yourself in whatever industry that you're optimizing for, and then do social listening and figure out what words are people using. How are they describing the things you're trying to optimize for? And then what you need to do is identify the need states. Figure out what is it that they're trying to accomplish with their search. So here's a case study for an airline. What we did was we identified what is it that people are looking for when they're going after air travel or, you know, just going on a vacation and things of that nature. What questions are they asking? Then we broke that down to the different need states. From there, we broke it into semantic groups based on the business goals for the client. So we figured out where's our key area to focus on for optimizing. Then we mapped that to the keyword research through the social listening. We looked at the conversation to see what words are people using when they're talking about going on vacation or going on a trip. And then we went to the keyword tool and pulled those out. Then we built a site that reflects those needs. And, you know, it's really clear in the navigation and the information architecture that these needs are reflected here, and it's really easy to find what you're looking for once you get to the site. So did it work? Yes. Bookings or conversions went way up, and our organic traffic went way up, and that's, you know, indicative of the increase of rankings that we got. So, there's another thing that's really important here, is creating compelling content. And one of my favorite ways to do this is the idea of co-relevance. So what's co-relevance? Really? It's so elegant. Take two ideas and mix in both elements. And here I go telling it in the form of a rap. So in explaining co-relevance is sort of a text. Now it can be a metaphor or a form of a mask that makes content unique with performance to match. Now you're thinking infographics, and that's a simple tactic, but don't limit yourself because they can be interactive. So here's an example. This one's so sweet, a music history timeline and a Guitar Hero motif. It's all a numbers game, and we really gotta make moves. So here's fonts and ranking factors as periodic tables. And to do this right, there's an audience built in. Here I built a link from link to link built in. See, you gotta be smart. It's not an obsolete art. Here's airline consolidation as a genealogy chart. This one's quite new, but they're on the right track. Here's how music travels displayed as flight paths. So flip a meme, don't stick to schemes that any team could post up. Here's Candyland meets the history of Oprah. Okay, just another minute till the rhymes are done. We combine Cheech and Chong with the 501. That takes plenty of skill, so gather around me. We got General Mills pushing magic brownies. All right, so another way to figure this out is that people tweet the same things that they search. So with all the keyword research tools that Google provides, they don't really tell you what people are doing right now. They tell you what people are doing 3 days ago with like Google Insights and Google Trends and things of that nature. But you can go to Twitter using a tool called Trendistic and see what people are tweeting about right now. So this is results for Michael Jackson. That was the keyword I put in. And you'll see how they match almost directly as far as like how the graphs go. So August 29th, like I said, my birthday and his, that's where the big spike is. And they're both in Google and in Twitter. So I made a tool called Go Fish. That's the URL for it. You can't really see it, but like I said, you can download this presentation and I'll tweet it out afterwards. But what it does is it goes into Twitter with your input keyword, and then it pulls down the last 200 tweets containing that keyword. And then it breaks it into engrams. And it figures out what are the 10 highest occurring engrams. Then it goes to Clout and the Google AdWords tool to try and validate those keywords. See which ones actually already have search value, and see if the people that are tweeting them have, high Clout scores. I know Clout is kind of BS, but use that as a relative metric. You got a question?
What's an engram?
Huh, that's funny you say that. What's an engram? I planted that guy. So an engram is a collection of n consecutive words. So that's to say, like, a 2-gram is Mike King. A 3-gram would be Michael King SEO. A 4-gram would be downtown Brooklyn apartment rentals, which I've been looking up a lot lately. And a 5-gram would be Geekend air travel horror story. I forgot to tell you guys, I just got here like an hour ago after leaving my house at 6:30 a.m. yesterday. Yeah, shit got real. So what you can do with this concept is identify what is it that people are talking about with concern to your keywords right now. So in this case, I put in Michael Jackson. You get Michael Jackson, Jackson Trial, and South Park. So what can you do as far as content to bring these things together? I'll show you. The Michael Jackson doctor trial is South Park characters. And then once you've created this, you already have a built-in audience because you have that list of people that have been tweeting all of that. So you just fire it off to them, and I don't want to say it goes viral, but it kind of takes off. So there's another method for this because my tool is kind of slow. It does a lot of scraping of sites and things. You can use this in Google Docs. They have this thing called import XML where you can scrape things off of pages. And this is a method by these guys called SEO Gadget in the UK. And it's really fast, and it gives you a spreadsheet of all the different conversations about your topics. The thing is, my thing does the analysis for you, so you might want to just do that. But this will give you all the data to look at. So, talking to the right people. A lot of people call this link building. I don't like calling it link building because that makes it really impersonal. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is throw away all your form letters. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, like this guy. Like, hey, we have stuff linked to us. Why would you care? That's like walking up into a girl and be like, hey, I'm hot, you're hot, let's have sex. It doesn't work. It doesn't, trust me. Anyway, so these are form letters that a guy sent to the analytics evangelist at Google. He said he was working for Omniture which is, an analytics platform. And he was like, hey, link to Omniture from your blog, change these things. You're writing to an authority on analytics from Google with a form letter. Do not ever do anything like that. Context is king in link building. So, like I said, you wouldn't walk up to a girl and be like, hey, let's have sex. You walk up to a girl and be like, so, I don't know what you would say. 'Cause I got a girlfriend now, I don't do that. So, I think people should use Twitter before they go looking for an email address, because that's what Twitter's made for, like this unsolicited conversation from people you don't know. So start from Twitter, and then go from Twitter to email, but start at Twitter. So there's a method by these guys in Philly called Sierra Interactive, and what they do is they pull down all your Twitter followers, and they pull down all your links from a tool like Open Site Explorer or Majestic SEO or something like that, and they see where, using Excel, they see where, they see which Twitter followers are linking to you and which ones are not. So the ones that are not linking to you, but they follow you on Twitter, that's the best place to start, because you already have some sort of warm rapport with those people, and you can just be like, hey, you're following me, why not give me a link? And I love that method, but there's two big problems with it. One, if you're using Open Site Explorer, you're only going to get your top 10,000 links. And the other thing with this is when you pull down those links for all the people on Twitter, a lot of them use shorteners. So you're not getting an exhaustive data set. And the problem with that is, like, let's say you reach out to someone because you see that you don't have a link for them, but it turns out that you do, you're going to have a really embarrassing conversation. I don't want you guys to be embarrassed. So with that said, I built a tool. It's I just built it like a few days ago. And it doesn't have a UI yet, and I'm giving it to the Sierra Interactive people. They're gonna make it live, I think, next week. And what it does is you take your output from Exportly, which is where you get the Twitter followers. It's actually called simplymeasured.com now. And what it does, you put in your Twitter name, and it gives you all of your followers in an Excel sheet. So what this does is it takes that, and it takes the URL that you're talking about, like your site or whatever it is, and then it goes to Open Site Explorer's API, and it pulls down all the root domains that link to you. And then it compares that against all the domains in your Simply Measured export. And it figures out which people are linking to you and which people are not. And it gives you two Excel sheets with that. It also expands all those shortened URLs, so you get an exhaustive data set. And like I said, there's no UI yet, but here's what the output looks like. It's like the ones that aren't prospects, the ones that are prospects. Oh, snap. So when you do your link building, you should have a persona for that link building in Twitter. So on the right, you have my SEO Twitter. That's not going to work if I'm trying to reach out to people for link building, because they might see that today I posted a video that teaches you how to do link building. And then they're going to watch that and be like, oh, so you're just trying to get something out of me. No, what you should do instead is use another persona on Twitter. So that's my rap persona, because I actually do rap, like, for real. And so I use that for, like, the Ovation guitar stuff, because I'm always talking about music. And when they see that in context, I still seem like an authority for music. So you should always create a persona for the given industry that you're building links for. And you want to post information, content, awesome things related to that industry regularly. So you seem like an authority instead of somebody that's just looking for links. So personas are also key to scalability, because you can group these people and then have kind of canned responses for them or canned content for them. And like I said, I don't really like form letters, but I understand in the interest of time sometimes you have to do that. So in this case, this is our 3D campaign where we figured out our target is the Curious George type, and our influencers are the gamers, the film purists, and the tech geeks. So we can figure out who these people are by a keyword and search them out and reach out to them on Twitter. And once you figure out who these people are, people tend to use the same username across many social networks. So what you do is you go to this tool called Modem, and you can identify all their different social networks. So in this case, I use Rand Fishkin, who's a SEO thought leader, and you see that he has like Foursquare, MySpace, I don't know why, Facebook, Dig, all these type of things. And what you can do is you can go to those different sites, take like 5 minutes to see what this person is into, and create a mental model of that person and use that as the context that you use to talk to them. It's kind of like what you do when you meet a girl you like or a guy you like, and you Google that person, and you find out all the stuff about them, but you act like you don't know it, but you still like make references to it. You know you do it. So you can also use this tool called Follower Wonk to find these people. The thing that's awesome about Follower Wonk is it searches everybody's Twitter profile. And so let's say, for example, I figured out that I'm looking for guitar players. I can put guitar players in this, and it'll give me a huge list of people on Twitter who have guitar player in their profile. And then you use a tool called Scraper for Chrome, and you can scrape all these users because there's no export feature for this. And it puts it right into Google Docs, and then you can either export it to Excel or copy and paste it, whatever it is. You can just manipulate that data easily. So there's another tool I made called Clout Scout. And what you do is you put in a bunch of Twitter usernames, and it gives you a ton of data on them. It gives you everything they have in their actual profile, and it also goes to Clout, gets their Clout scores. And most importantly, it gives you the topics that they talk about the most. So at a glance, you can see what is it that these people are talking about, and are they relevant to what you're trying to do? So once you have all this data, you can, classify them by personas and have this cool list of prospects that you can go through and figure out, did this person hit me back? Did they give me a link? And just have a good data set that one, you can work from, and two, you can show your clients what you've been doing. I have another tool that I made called Site Scout. And what it does is it crawls the site, and it sees, and it also grabs all the social metrics for every page on the site. And in addition to that, it does some natural language processing and figures out what is the main idea of this page that I just crawled. So there's two applications of this. Basically, you can see, is this site worthwhile to you? Is there anything on this site that you should get a link from contextually? And it also tells you what content is popular. So when you reach out to that person, you can say, I read this post. And it makes sense because a lot of people have probably already contacted him or her about this post because it's popular. So when you do this outreach link building, you need to have a genuine interest in people. A lot of people just fire off emails, and you've seen the spam that you get, and you're like, I don't care about this. Why would I talk to you? Why would I respond to this? Why would I even open it? So if you look at this from a genuine interest in people, it'll be a lot of fun because you're just talking to people and trying to convince them that you have something worth linking to. So what you need to do is make your message stand out. If you're talking in email, you want to use short subjects, natural subjects. You don't want to say link request. Your first email should not talk about a link request at all. It should be just about getting a response from this person, so you can open up and build a rapport with this person. And you want to send emails as an actual person. You don't want to send it as info@company.com. You want to be an actual person that they can interact with. You want to post links back to that persona that you built in social media, so they can see that you're a real person. And you also want to include a natural salutation. I say, hey, Chris, are you interested in this or whatever, rather than, dear sir or madam, I have some stuff for you to link to. The thing is, especially with people using Gmail, they'll see that in the preview for the email, and they just won't open it. So in Twitter, it's a little different. You just want to converse with context. And the way you do that is, if you see that they're talking about something related to your industry or whatever it is, respond to them, rather than just hitting them up like, hey, I have a link. So you don't want to just send people links like, hey, look at this. No, you want to talk to them, engage with them. And you want to escalate quickly. So once you have them in the conversation, you say, hey, follow me so I can DM you. And then that way you can take it offline, have the private conversation move to email, whatever it is. And you also want to actively participate in that subject's conversation. So that goes back to your persona that you're creating as well, because what you do is you fill that up with content that's related to whatever it is you're trying to get links from. So a lot of people start following you or retweeting you, and then you're just naturally engaging in social media. And you want to also ride relevant hashtags, because that way people come to you. Because a lot of people search hashtags and say, hey, what are people talking about with this? And if you've posted something that's interesting, they're going to just start talking to you. And that way you can just start, from the beginning. Like, okay, well, you like that. I also have this. So offer value. And that's the same point I just made. You want to give people content or information that they may not have, found on their own. And it can be educational. It can also be informational. It doesn't have to be about you, like, giving them an incentive. Just give them something that makes you worthwhile as far as following and linking to. And if you do have incentives, you don't want to just be like, hey, I have a TV, will you give me a link? No, what you should do is have some sort of campaign behind those incentives. So something that we're doing right now is we have 100 TVs that we're giving away. And we're starting out by hand-picking 50 people, and we're just giving them TVs. And they're going to write about the experience, they're going to write about 3D, and they're going to link back to us. But those other 50 TVs are going to be given out in a contest. And the reason we're giving the first 50 out is so it's like, it seems real. It's like, wow, these guys are really giving TVs. And people compete for those last 50 spots. So tons of people write articles and blogs about the thing that we're talking about 3D TV and such, and they link back to us. So in that way, it's a one-to-many result rather than a one-to-one result. So once you have gotten that link, you want to maintain a rapport with these people. And the way to do that is create Twitter lists, the private ones that no one sees, just so you can like check up on them here and there and hit them up and be like, hey, how you doing? Here's some new content, things of that nature. You can also use Google Plus Circles the same way. And in this way, these people will probably follow you as well, and they'll continue to link to your content, or they'll continue to retweet you and things of that nature, and then you maintain that rapport, so when you do need a link, you can just be like, yo, I got this thing, link to it. Oh, and I have real life examples, but you're gonna have to follow me to get them. So measurement. This is really important because that's the whole point of doing digital marketing, is that you can measure it very well. And when you measure it in the context of people, you get away from abstracts and you can really understand, like, this group of people likes this type of content and they convert more. Or this type of people, buys this thing and then they buy this thing. So what you can do is track your rankings in Google Analytics. I actually wrote some JavaScript code that you can get from that link at the bottom that pushes all your rankings to Google Analytics when people come to you from Google. And you can look at what personas are doing what in context. So for example, if we figure out that Curious George, when he sees that you're ranked #1, he buys something, then you realize that that's the opportunity that you want to focus on. Or if, Music Moms, they see that you're ranked number 12 and they don't visit you as much, or whatever it is. You get actionable insights based on what people are really doing. There's also a concept of keyword ownership. So if we figure out that Curious George is searching more and converting more than these other 3 groups, then we don't have to focus on these other 3 groups with our messaging. We just focus on Curious George, and then conversions go up that way. Then there's this concept of keyword arbitrage. So if we figure out, in this example, let's say we're talking about footlocker.com. If we figure out that Curious George, when he's 5% likely to convert on the keyword sneakers, but of those people, 60% of them are likely to convert subsequently on windbreakers. So what we figure out is that the keyword sneakers initially is worth more to us because people convert again, right? So we figure out that if we put more money into sneakers, whether it's just optimization or even AdWords, we're gonna get a lot more later from that same group. Oh, wait, wrong way. And then we're also going to be able to predict the next thing that they're going to buy. So like I said, 60% of people that are Curious George types that buy sneakers buy windbreakers. We know to aggressively target them after they buy sneakers in other channels like email, retargeting, things of that nature. And then this gives you a concept of annual keyword value. And basically, I stole this from the algorithmic stock market and just applied it to SEO. And the keywords with the higher keyword earnings ratio, you spend less on those, but the keywords with the higher keyword earnings yields, you spend more on those. And that's forecastable ROI for search, something we didn't quite have before. So people tell you what they want every day. Use that information to give it to them. And one more thing, this kind of nerdy search stuff, but Google's been telling us for years that their search spider is actually like a text-based thing that can't see images, it can't see flash and things of that nature. It's actually not true. Googlebot is actually a Chrome browser. Not yours as it stands on your computer, but there's a version of it that they use to crawl the web. And why does that matter? Well, basically, a lot of people use JavaScript and other hidden text things to hide content. You can't do that anymore because they can see it. If you can see it in a browser, they can see it. Proof. The instant previews that you see in your search engine results these days, you can't do that with a text-based browser. You see how they have the screenshot and then they annotate the screenshot based on your search query? You wouldn't be able to do that with a text-based browser. So here's a proof of concept. I think it's running already. And my friend actually built this with what they call a headless browser. It's called Phantom.js. And he's going to create a screenshot dynamically. He already put in the URL. Should be loading right now. And that is actually a screenshot of that site. And you see on the right, that's the image that just appeared on his not his desktop, in that folder. He's going to open the image to show you. This is how you make a screenshot dynamically, programmatically with a headless browser. He's going to do another one on a slower site. Yep. So there's that. And there's another thing that just came out a few weeks ago that Google makes post requests for Ajax. So that means they're basically interacting with your JavaScript. And the head of Google's web spam team actually confirmed this last week. So here's another proof of concept. Normally with a text-based crawler, you can't pull off JavaScript. 5 minutes? Okay. And you can't scrape it because it's Ajax. And so we built something that does that. So Google Insights is Ajax, and we built something that is actually going to pull the Ajax off the page. And go. There it is. So there's a whole post that Josh wrote about this, my friend that did this stuff, and you can read that, and it goes in depth, shows patent information, and proves that Googlebot is actually a browser. But don't forget, search is about people, so go get the people. Any questions?
Can you put the presentation back up, the slides, so we can write it down?
Yeah,
The address.
no problem. Any more questions? Oh, my bad, go ahead.
You said you'd be posting the link to this presentation?
I'm about to do that right now.
Yeah, Twitter.
I'll put it on Twitter as well, but I'm going to show you the slide that had it on there. I've never had this much trouble with PowerPoint. No more questions? Chris?
When we gonna start our building taking over the world?
Well, after this, I finally have some downtime. I mean, I could have done it while I was in the airport system all night.
Dynamic targeting, that basically requires you often Facebook,
Absolutely. So there's a couple of our smaller clients that we do this with because a lot of them are scared about the privacy issues. And we found that it works best if you incentivize it like with the community. So if they're already, logging in just to post on like a message board or whatever it is, then it's an automatic opt-in. They're not thinking about why am I opting in with Facebook. And the other thing is if you ask for less permissions, when you get them to opt in, you get a higher conversion rate on that as well. Almost there. There it is.
What sort of strategies do you use to get people to opt in through Facebook? What sort of incentives do you give them?
Well, it's like, for example, we work on a lot of consumer packaged goods brands, and it's like, oh, you want a coupon? So opt in, get the coupon. So, I mean, it's all dependent on what the brand is, what they're trying to do. Because a lot of brands have just like random things they give away, like ebooks or whatever it is. So just make them log in via Facebook for whatever the thing is. Anything else? You got a question?
I got a curious question.
Sure.
About the opting in, opting out type thing. You get their information, they've opted in, and you convert that. Of course, you're going to sell it, whatever. Or
I'm not going to sell it, I'm just going to use it.
Sell it, use it. Well, it seems to be the sharing slash sales is a big market all in its own. That people don't really, there seems to not have there's no rules maybe for that. You basically, your information is out there, anybody can sell your private information, but then there's privacy rights and rules, and nobody really can keep up with it because it's on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So with what we're doing, or utilizing this, are there any pitfalls to be aware of when you do decide that the information that you have, that you built up, if you decide to share or commingle or even sell, that you need to be aware of?
Well, I think you have to start from the privacy policies for like Facebook and things of that nature. So, for example, Google Analytics doesn't really allow you to save this information in the form that you get it. You can't save, what is it called? You can't save identifiable information about people. So that's why I was saying that you should use like an MD5 hash or whatever it is. But for those type of questions, you need to start from the privacy policies, because in a lot of cases, you're just not allowed to sell the stuff that you get. And then companies also have their own privacy policies. So before you even think about selling things, you need to figure out if you can. I would say that's the main pitfall. And did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Are you raising your hand or you just scratching your face? Cool. Well, thank you.